Reb Noson, that's Rabbi Nachman's main disciple, had a student who was very close to him. His name was Reb Moshe Lubarsky, and he changed his last name to Breslov. He became known as Reb Moshe Breslov to show his commitment to Rabbi Nachman and his teachings. He changed his last name to Breslov. This Reb Moshe Breslov was very, in fact, possibly totally committed to Rabbi Nachman and his teachings, and his faith in Reb Noson and his teachings was phenomenal. They say about him that once he was robbed, and the first thing he did before going to the police to make a report, whatever, the first thing he did is he went to open up Reb Noson's discourses in the book Likutei Halachot, which discussed the laws of robbery, of theft, Hilchot Geneva, because he wanted to see the deeper reason why Hashem did this to him. Why did Hashem let this happen, that he became robbed? And he felt that the answer would be for sure definitely found in Reb Noson's writings, where he explores the deeper dimension to theft, and based on that to know what to work on. And while learning Reb Noson's Likutei Halachot, the police on their own caught the robber and returned to Reb Moshe Breslov the items that were stolen. So great was his faith in Reb Noson and his teachings. This Reb Moshe Breslov once made a very powerful statement. He rephrased the the quote from Chazal, from the rabbis, the sages in the Gemara, where they say like this: Gadol shimusha yoter milimuda. Greater is the serving and being close to Torah scholars, greater than learning from them. You can be in a class learning from a Rav, a Torah scholar, a tzaddik, and you can also personally attend to their needs, get them a cup of coffee, help them walk, and do all types of physical service of shimush chachamim, doing things which bring you into close physical proximity to the Torah scholars, as opposed to listening to a class and receiving their knowledge, their intellect, their input into the Torah. So the Gemara teaches that what a person gains by the physical serving, the shimush, is even greater than what you learn from them. By learning in a class, the physical contact and learning from that moral messages from just seeing how they act and conduct in actual mode, in practical mode, is greater than learning from their books, learning in their classes, teachings, etc. And Rav Moshe Breslov went a step further, and he would rephrase the quotation like this, and add a translation into Yiddish. As opposed to shimusha, gadol shimusha yoter milimuda, great is the serving, shimusha, more than the learning. He would read it, gadol hashmoozing, the shmooz in Yiddish, shmooz, the casual conversational talks, are greater than the actual lessons. And he would explain this idea in context of when people discover the teachings of Rabbi Nachman. So there's the actual formal lessons as portrayed in the books, especially Rabbi Nachman's Likutei Moharan. And then there's the conversational teachings, which are to be found in the book Rabbi Nachman's Wisdom, Sichot Haran, or the book Tzadik Chaim Haran. And by extension, there's the conversations which go through and by the actual followers of Rabbi Nachman, the Breslov Chasidim. There's daily contact where they talk to each other with words of fear of Hashem. Those casual conversations that the Breslov Chasidim hold between each other, what's called in Hebrew Sichat Chaverim, conversations of friends, speaking with friends openly about ideas about the purpose of this world, how to come close to Hashem, insights which they share as a friend, as a shmooz. That's a shmooz in Yiddish. What you gain from those casual conversations is even greater than the formal learning in a formal lesson in Likutei Moharan. In fact, Reb Noson himself also said, I gained much more from Rabbi Nachman's casual conversations. It's an amazing statement. I gained much more from Rabbi Nachman's casual conversations than from his actual lessons that he would give on the Shabbatot when people would gather to be by them and there were formal lessons given. Reb Noson said about himself, I gained much more from those casual conversations, which teaches us something amazing, that you need everything. It's one thing to learn the formal lesson. Normally a person who's out to get from a formal lesson is someone who themselves are very square and shaped and very formal and very organized, which is important, which is good. However, being in a curvature world where everything is tipsy-topsy, everything is curvy, everything is upside down in life, that the rigid learning attitude doesn't always work. It doesn't always help when you're faced with curvy, upside down, topsy-turvy situations in life. And in most cases, what comes to save you and give you inspiration is a simple conversation, a simple shmooze that you may have heard from a friend or even from Rabbi Nachman's teachings, but expressed in what's called shmooze format, conversational format, that normally gets to a person more than anything else. You'll find it something phenomenal, that you can learn hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages of Torah, and yet in your memory is stuck an idea which you may have learned in those hundreds of pages, but you heard it from the mouth of a friend in a casual talk. You'll see in your past memories and also in your present, what sticks to you a lot are those conversations, which is why it's so important to make sure you have both. That you have the learning, which is, of course, we're not putting it down at all, chas v'shalom, God forbid, that you have to have your fixed study schedule to learn your Chumash, your Gemara, your Mishnah, your Midrash, your Shulchan Aruch, your Rabbi Nachman's teachings. You have your what's called Sedarim, your study schedules. But besides that, not to become isolated into your own world, rather to have contact with good friends that on a daily basis, more or less, you can speak to them words of Yirat Shamayim, words of fear of heaven, words which will bring you closer to Hashem, and you'll see that the shmoozing, like Rav Moshe Breslov explained, the shmoozing are even greater than the Torah study itself.